Good morning, students. Today we will be continuing the chapter New Questions and Ideas. We have covered about the story of Buddha, and now in this chapter we will start from Upanishads once again. Upanishads, as I have discussed with you people in the live class also, like the time, the era when Buddha was preaching about the Gyan which we have learned in the last video, when he was like teaching people of the effects of karma, of doing right deeds, and when he was teaching people about ahimsa, to respecting lives of others. And at that moment, somewhere or other, some other thinkers were also finding some difficult questions. They were also interested to know about life after death. So they also were searching why sacrifices which were being performed at that time were important, or should they be performed or not. Some thinkers felt that there was something permanent in the universe that would last even after death. They described this as Atma, or the individual soul, and the Brahma, or the universal soul. They believed that ultimately both the Atma and the Brahman were one. तो ये जो उपनिषदास के बारे में जिनके बारे में लिखा गया हुआ है, ऐसे थिंकर्स थे जो अपने लेवल पे बहुत सारे अपने क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स ढूंढ रहे थे. लाइक देवर लाइक कि मृत्यु के बाद क्या जीवन है, और वो बिलीव करते थे कि हर इंडिविजुअल के अंदर एक आत्मा है, और उसका कनेक्शन जो है अल्टीमेटली जो एक सुपर पावर है, जो एक जिसको वो ब्रह्म आत्मा बोलते थे, यूनिवर्सल सोल बोलते थे. वो ये बोलते थे कि अल्टीमेटली दोनों एक ही हैं, और जितने भी इंडिविजुअल्स के अंदर सोल है, जो प्राण है, जो आत्मा है, वो सबके अंदर सेम है. लाइक व्हेन आई वाज डिस्कसिंग दिस टॉपिक इन द लाइव क्लास, यू वर आस्किंग व्हाट इज आत्मा. तो हिंदू माइथोलॉजी के अंदर स्पेशली, और वर्ल्ड वाइड भी अब तो एक्सपेक्टेड है कि लाइक सोल जो है, देयर इज अ सोल इनसाइड आवर बॉडी. जब हम जिस दिन हम when we take birth, there is a soul inside our body, and that soul is the energy which keeps on our this body working. और जिस दिन हमारी डेथ होती है, that means that soul departs. Where it departs, it's still a question, but it now we assume it that it goes different. Religion have different concept regarding the आत्मा, but ultimately यही बोला जाता है कि जो आत्मा है वो परमात्मा, जो प्रभु है, उनके पास जाकर मिल जाती है. So many of these ideas, what these thinkers were discussing, what these thinkers were trying to find out, all these things they were recorded in Upanishads. So these were part of the later Vedic texts, because written जो चीजें थी वो later Vedic period में ही आई थी, इसलिए Upanishads are part of later Vedic texts. Upanishad literally means approaching and sitting near. And the texts contain conversation between teachers and students. और जो टीचर्स और स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में डिस्कशन होता था, जो भी वो कंक्लूजन निकालते थे, उनका वो डायलॉग पूरा, और उनका जो रिटन उनका जो डिस्कशन है, दैट वाज रिकॉर्डेड इन दीज टेक्स्ट्स व्हिच वर नोन एज उपनिषदास. Then there is a story of wise beggar which was given in your book, which we have discussed in live class also, which goes like once there were two sages who were like they were famous, and they were like considered learned, and they worshipped the universal soul. Universal soul means they were following the concept that there is Atma in each and every individual, and ultimately it is going to be mixed with unite with the universal soul after the death. So one day they were having their food, and suddenly a beggar approached them and asked for the food, but they denied the food to him. So that beggar questioned them, learn sir, whom do you worship? The universal soul. Answer one of the sages, oh, that means you know that the universal soul fills the entire world. Yes, we know that. If the universal soul fills the whole world, it fills me too. Who am I but a part of the world? So he was saying, he made them understand that you are not following the philosophy which you are preaching, which you are claiming that you have learned, that you believe in. You are saying that the universal soul fills each and every individual in this world. So by denying me the food, you are ultimately denying Paramatma to have the food. So they realized their mistake, and they offered him food. They shared their food from him. So this discussion shows how wise that beggar was, and all this kind of dialogues which happened between various people has been recorded in these Upanishads, which give some learning to the listeners or the rest of the population to follow up. Most Upanishadic thinkers were basically men, and one thing, they were basically men. Secondly, they were from higher varnas, that is they are Brahmins or Rajas. But then exceptions were also there. So one such exception in form of a female thinker was Gargi. She was very well known. She was so learned that she was invited for discussions in the royal courts. Okay, and secondly, exception was for the varnas, as we have just read that Brahmanas were and Kshatriyas were like recording and discussing all these wise things and recording them in Upanishads. Then there was Satyakama Jabala, who was the son of a slave woman, Jabali. So he was also exception. He was neither a Brahman nor a Kshatriya. He was a slave man, but still he was so learned. He was so brilliant that his guru Gautama made him his Shishya, and there was discussion between him, and many of his thinkings, many of his ideas were recorded in Upanishads. Okay. Later on, a great learned man, Shankaracharya, about whom you will read in class 7, came up, and like he has contributed in great extent to develop these Upanishads. So Upanishads are records of those dialogues which contains the views, the findings, the beliefs of the thinkers of that time. Okay, so that is why the Upanishads are having a very respectable position in Indian literature. Okay, then on next page they are talking about Panini. He was a Sanskrit grammarian, and he had done wonderful work for in grammar for Sanskrit. He have arranged vowels and consonants in a special orders, and this has helped great to learn this language, because he has developed around 3,000 formulas. Okay, so this is also important, and many 1 mark question could come from this particular portion. Next is Jainism. So Jainism is also a sect which was flourishing at that period of time, and to introduce Jainism, what I will say that it is having 24 Tirthankars, jewels, okay, of Jainism. So you can take it as they have 24 gurus, 24 तीर्थांकर बोलते हैं उनके जो लर्न मैन है जैनिज्म में, उनको तीर्थांकर कहते हैं। और इनमें से जो सबसे फेमस हुए वो वर्धमान महावीर थे, और उन्होंने अपने मैसेजेस को बहुत फैलाया ड्यूरिंग his time, that was 2500 years ago. He was a Kshatriya prince of Lichavi. क्षत्रिय वर्ण था उनका, यानी कि वो भी एक उच्च कुल को बिलोंग करते थे, और वो वजी संघा के जो थे वहाँ के वो राजकुमार थे। ओके, एट द एज ऑफ 30, जब वो 30 इयर्स के हुए, उन्होंने घर छोड़ दिया और जंगलों में रहे। 12 साल कठिन तपस्या की, और उसके बाद उनको ही अटेन्ड एनलाइटमेंट। He taught a simple doctrine. उनका एक सिंपल कहना था, men and women who wish to know the truth must leave their home. He advocated renunciation. Renunciation मतलब क्या होता है? त्याग। उन्होंने बोला आपको घर गृहस्थी का त्याग करना पड़ेगा अगर आपको सच की खोज में जाना है। They must follow very strict rules of ahimsa, which means not hurting or killing of any living thing. All beings, said Mahavira, long to live. और जैनिज्म का एक मोटो भी होता है जिसको वो बोलते हैं लिव एंड लेट लिव, जियो और जीने रहो। तो वो भी अहिंसा के जो थे डेडली अगेंस्ट थे। ऑर्डिनरी पीपल कुड अंडरस्टैंड द टीचिंग ऑफ महावीरा एंड हिज फॉलोअर्स बिकॉज दे यूज प्राकृत। उन्होंने भी यही चीज को अपनाया था कि जो कॉमन मैन की लैंग्वेज थी, जो प्राकृत थी, उसको उन्होंने फॉलो किया था। देयर वर सेवरल फॉर्म ऑफ प्राकृत। अब आपको ये बताना है कि प्राकृत के भी ये पैराग्राफ इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज इसके अंदर से 1 मार्क क्वेश्चन आ सकता है। देयर वर सेवरल फॉर्म्स ऑफ प्राकृत यूज्ड इन डिफरेंट पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्री एंड नेम्ड आफ्टर द रीजन इन विच दे वर यूज्ड। मतलब हर जगह की, जैसे आपको पता है ना, थोड़ी थोड़ी दूरी बाद लैंग्वेज बदलती है। स्टिल इट हैपेंस हियर। आपको एक ही स्टेट के अंदर 20 किलोमीटर्स का अगर आप डिस्टेंस कवर करते हैं तो लोकल डायलेक्ट्स के अंदर चेंजेस मिलते हैं। ओके, सो इसी तरह एट दैट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम प्राकृत वॉज यूज इन सेवरल फॉर्म्स एंड दिस वेरिएशन वॉज बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंट रीजन्स। ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल प्राकृत स्पोकन इन मगधा वॉज नोन एज मगधी। प्राकृति थी लेकिन उसमें थोड़ी वेरिएशन थी और उसको उसके रीजन के नाम पे नाम दिया गया। जैसे आजकल पंजाब में बोले वाली पंजाबी, हरियाणा में हरियाणवी बोलते हैं, इस तरह बोलते हैं ना। तो उस टाइम जो प्राकृत मगध में बोली जाती थी उसको मगधी बोला जाता था। दिस लाइन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, प्लीज मार्क इट डाउन। फॉलोअर्स ऑफ महावीरा वर नोन एज जैनास had to lead a very simple life, begging for food। यानी देखिए जैना भी जो है दो उसके अंदर है सेक्ट्स हैं, दिगंबर और श्वेतांबर। इसके अलावा कुछ लोग होते थे जो रिनंसिएट कर देते थे, वर्ड का, संस्कार का त्याग कर देते थे, दीक्षा ले लेते थे। आज भी ऐसा ही होता है। उनके जो साधु दीक्षा ले लेते हैं फिर वो वर्ल्डली जो डिजायर्स हैं, वर्ल्डली जो कंफर्ट्स हैं, उनको छोड़ना पड़ता है। एंड देयर लाइफ इज वेरी हार्ड। दे लिव वेरी वेरी सिंपल, आई विल से वेरी, नॉट ओनली सिंपल, दे लिव वेरी हार्ड life. They follow such hard rules that sometimes I wonder why are these rules means punishment, some kind of punishment or what? Like जमीन पे सोना, कम वस्त्र, मतलब बहुत ही सिंपल सादा वस्त्र धारण करना, सिर्फ भिक्षा मांग के खाना, और वो भी जितना आपकी एक मुट्ठी में आ जाता है सिर्फ उतना ही एक बार में वो लोग खाते हैं। ओके, so they have to live, they had to observe सेलिब्रेसी, ब्रह्मचार्य का उनको पालन करना होता है। एंड मैन हैड टू गिव अप एवरीथिंग इंक्लूडिंग देयर क्लोथ्स। और जो मैंने बोला ना 2 सेक्ट होते हैं, उसमें एक सेक्ट तो जो होता है वस्त्रों का भी उन्होंने त्याग किया होता है कि हमें किसी भी मोह माया में नहीं है, हमें भी किसी भी चीज से जो है फर्क नहीं पड़ता। तो दीज स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स वर वेरी वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट। Nevertheless, 1,000 left their home to learn and teach this new way of life. Many more remained behind and supported those who have become monk and nuns, provided them with food. मतलब उन्होंने कुछ लोग, बहुत सारे लोगों ने तो संन्यास ले लिया, लेकिन कुछ ऐसे भी रह गए जिन्होंने गृहस्थ आश्रम को अपनाए रखा, जिन्होंने व्यापार को अपनाए रखा, ताकि वो जिन्होंने इस संसार को छोड़ दिया उनकी जरूरतें पूरी करने के लिए वो जो है वो वर्क कर सके। Jainism was supported mainly by traders, farmers who had to kill insects to protect them, their crops, who had to and by doing this they have to face very difficulty because the basic principle says ahimsa. Over hundreds of years, Jainism spread to different parts of North India, to Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The teachings of Mahavira and his followers were transmitted orally for several centuries. This should be marked that initially Mahavira's teachings were also being transferred orally, and later on when they write it down, and there is a place in Gujarat known as Vallabhi where their written literature has been stored, and that happened about 1500 years ago. So one thing I need to add, that whole of our country is having beautiful Jain architecture. You can find out very beautiful Jain temples spread all across India, especially in Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka, and these areas. Down south it also have apart from Karnataka and Tamil Nadu also you will find Jainism temple, and it is a very very rich kind of community. You know that we have read, you will read in class 7 that earlier when Delhi was established, it was having a traders community which was actually Jain community. So they were very good traders and very well settled, economically very well settled community. Next we need to learn about Sangha, and then the last topic will be monastery. So let's talk about Sangha. What was Sangha? Both the Mahavira and Buddha felt that only those who left their home could gain true knowledge. They arranged for them to stay together in Sanghas, an association of those who left their home. Like जो लोग घर छोड़ दिया आपके कहने के ऊपर, आप गुरु हैं, आपने उनको समझाया और उन्होंने आपके लिए संसार का त्याग कर दिया, सब कुछ त्याग कर दिया. At least still they are human beings. They need some place to live. Obviously, you are not going them to offer the comforts of a house, but at least there should be some place where they can safely, from the climatic condition and from the animals, they could safely live there. Okay. So they arranged for them to stay together in sanghas. जो association, what is a sangha? It was an association of those who have left their homes. तो वो संघ में रहते थे. The rules made for the Buddhist sangha were written down in a book called the Vinaya Patrika. Again, 1 mark question. What is the name of the book in which the rule of the Buddhist sangha is like jotted down? That is Vinaya Patrika. From this we know that there were separate branches for men and women. All men could join the Sangha. However, children have to take the permission of their parents and slaves that of their masters. यानी slaves भी welcome थे, बच्चे भी welcome थे, but they need permission. जबकि जो adults थे, बाकी matures थे या बाकी वर्णस थे, slaves को छोड़ के उनको permission की जरूरत नहीं थी. Those who worked for the king had to take his permission and debitors of that of creditor. अगर आपने किसी का उधार देना तो ऐसा नहीं कि आपको उधार ना देना पड़े तो आप संन्यास ले लोगे. नो, पहले आपको अपने क्रेडिटर से परमिशन लेके आना है. विमेन को अगर अपने हस्बैंड से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी तभी वो संसार का त्याग कर सकती थी, संघ में रह सकती थी. Men and women who joined the sangha led simple life. ज्यादातर वो साधना ही करते थे. They meditated for most of the time and went to cities and villages to beg for food during fixed hours. That is why they were known as bhikshus. भिक्षु जो है प्राकृत के अंदर भिखारी को बोला जाता है. तो वो भिक्षु थे, मांग के खाते थे, और जो लेडीज थी वो भिक्षुनीज बोलते थे उनको. They taught others and helped one another. They also held meeting to settle any quarrels that take place within the sangha. So they are having like their own system which they were very strictly following, and they were like interacting with the outer world, but then just in a limit, not for the comfort, just for teaching and just to fill their food for the reason of food, because they were not into any money earning activity. Those who joined the sangha included Brahmins भी आते थे, क्षत्रिय भी आते थे, व्यापारी, मजदूर, नाई, दरबारी, even slaves भी आते थे. सब जो थे संघ को ज्वाइन करते थे, कर सकते थे. Many of them wrote down the teachings of the Buddha. Some of them also composed beautiful poems describing their life in the sangha. So this was about sangha. And there is a picture, a cave hollowed out in the hills. This is a cave in the Karale, present day Maharashtra. Monk और nun जो थे वो यहाँ रहते थे. ऐसी गुफाओं में ये लोग रहते थे और वहाँ पर साधना करते थे. Next is monasteries. To begin with, both Jaina and Buddhist monk went from place to place throughout the year. Starting में तो जब लोगों ने घर छोड़ा इनको पता नहीं था. They were like moving from one place to another. The only time they stayed in one place was during the rainy season, when it was very difficult to travel. Remember, at that time, this infrastructure was not there, so they were like very they have to be very careful while rainy season, because all these hilly terrains or all these things became very slippery, and they have to be very conscious. And it became so difficult to travel in that time that they have to stop. So they used to stop at a place in the rainy season when it was very difficult to travel. Then their supporters built temporary shelters for them in gardens, or they lived in natural caves in hill regions. धीरे धीरे लोगों ने उनके लिए जगहें रहने की बनानी शुरू करी. As time went on, many supporters of the monk and nuns and they themselves felt the need for permanent shelters, and so monasteries were built. These were later known as viharas. So monastery का दूसरा नाम क्या है? This might be asked. What is the other name for monastery? That is vihara. What are vihara? Viharas were the permanent shelters for the monks and nuns. Okay. I'm discussing one small question all along with describing this chapter. The earliest viharas were made of wood. पहले लकड़ी से बनते थे, then of brick, फिर brick से बनने लगे. Some were even in caves that was dug out in hills, especially in the western India. जो घाट्स, western घाट्स आपको मिलेंगे, वहां पर ऐसी बहुत सारी आपको monasteries मिलती है जो हिल को कट करके बनाई गई है. Okay, now let's see. There is an extract from a Buddhist text, and what this Buddhist text says: just as the water of the river loses their name and separateness when they flow into the mighty ocean, so are viharas and ranks and family forgotten when the followers of the Buddhists join the order of the monks. So वो बोल रहे हैं कि renunciation, देखिए त्याग हर जगह है. किसी चीज से बंध के रहना उनके थिंकिंग के अगेंस्ट था. Very often the land on which the vihara was built was donated by a rich merchant or a landowner or the king. So who were the people who used to like donate land for viharas? Either rich merchants or landowners or the king. The local people came with gifts of food, clothing and medicine for the monk and nuns because वो उनको वहाँ से उनको आध्यात्मिक शांति मिलती थी. उनकी प्रीचिंग से उनको अपनी लाइफ को जीने में हेल्प मिलती थी. तो बदले में वो उनको क्या देते थे? उन्हें पता था कि these monks, nuns, they are not doing any work. They are dependent on us for their worldly need, like for their भूख और अपने बीमारी के लिए उन्हें हमें पे निर्भर रहते. They used to offer. So what does people offer to monks and nuns? Might be asked. So gifts of food, clothing and medicines were offered to monks and nuns by common or local people. In return, they taught the people. Over the centuries, Buddhism spread to many parts of the subcontinent and beyond also. And in this, where this Buddhism has spread, that we will learn in chapter 10 in detail. So next is the paragraph which describes about the ashrams. Around the time when Jainism and Buddhism was becoming popular, Brahmins developed the system of Brahmanas. देखिए एक हिंदुज्म जो था, it was already always there. So एक ये नए सेक्ट उभर के आ रहे थे हिंदुइज्म में से ही, लेकिन एक अलग प्रीचिंग, अलग फॉलोअर, एक अलग वो उन्होंने गुरुज बना के वो किया. दैट इज जैनिज्म एंड बुद्धिज्म. बट Hinduism was still there. What was happening in Hinduism at that time? Brahmins developed the system of ashrams. उन्होंने आश्रम का सिस्टम बनाया. Here the word ashram doesn't mean a place where people live and meditate. तो इन्होंने ये जगह, रहने की जगह को आश्रम का नाम नहीं दिया जैसे कि आजकल बोला जाता है. इन्होंने लाइफ की स्टेजेस को आश्रम में कैटेगराइज किया. 4 आश्रम, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वर रिकॉग्नाइज एज ब्रह्मचार्य, गृहस्थ, वनप्रस्थ एंड समन्यासा. सो ये अलग अलग स्टेजेस थी. Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya people were expected to lead simple life and studies the Vedas during the earlier year of their lives, जिसको वो ब्रह्मचार्य बोलते थे. उस टाइम जब बच्चा अपनी स्टडीज कर रहा है तो वो ब्रह्मचार्य का पालन करेगा और वो अपनी जिंदगी को वेदास को पढ़ने में डेडिकेट करेगा. देन दे हैड टू मैरी एंड लिव एज हाउस होल्ड. वो उनका गृहस्थ जीवन, तो उसको गृहस्थ राज बोलते हैं. देन दे हैड टू लिव इन फॉरेस्ट एंड मेडिटेट. फिर जब उनके बच्चे हो जाते थे, उनकी शादियां हो जाती थी, तो दे यूज टू गो टू वनप्रस्थ जाते थे और फिर तपस्या करते थे, प्रभु को पाने की इच्छा करते थे, जो कि अल्टीमेट गोल है सबका. फाइनली दे हैड टू गिव अप एवरीथिंग एंड बिकेम सन्यासीज. तो फिर वो सन्यासी बन जाते थे एंड में सब कुछ छोड़ के. द सिस्टम ऑफ आश्रमास अलाउड मेन टू स्पेंड सब पार्ट ऑफ देयर लाइफ इन मेडिटेशन. जनरली women were not allowed to study the Veda and they had to follow the ashrams chosen by their husband. So see, gender discrimination है, gender inequality है, दिख रहा है. History is telling us about this thing. Now, when all these things are happening in India, in Hinduism, in Jainism and Buddhism, somewhere else, in other part of the world, what was happening? Let's see. In Iran, Zoroaster was an Iranian prophet. His teachings were contained in a book called Avesta. The language of the Avesta and the practices described in it are very simple to those similar to the Vedas. तो जैसा ज्ञान भारत में वेदास में था, उसी तरह का कुछ ज्ञान वो क्लेम कर रहे हैं कि इनका ये जो जोरोस्टर, जो इरानियन प्रोफेट था, वो भी इस तरह दे रहा था. द बेसिक टीचिंग ऑफ जोरोस्टर आर कंटेन्ड इन द maxim good thoughts, good words and good deeds. Here is a verse from the gender अविस्ता। देखिए वो क्या कह रहे हैं, लॉर्ड ग्रांट स्ट्रेंथ एंड द रूल ऑफ ट्रुथ एंड गुड थिंकिंग बाय मीन्स ऑफ विच वन शेल क्रिएट पीस एंड ट्रांसपेरेंट। For more than 1,000 years, Zoroastrianism was a major religion in Iran. Later, some Zoroastrians migrated from Iran and settled down in the coastal towns of Gujarat and Maharashtra. और ये वही लोग थे जो आज हमारे देश में पारसीज हम जिनको बोलते हैं, जो पारसीज हैं उन्हीं के forefathers ये थे जो ईरान से आए थे, Iranians थे. Okay, so this was all in this chapter, and see you all in the live class, and we will take up the doubts regarding the remaining of the chapter. Bye for now.